All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack the data on how technology is gearing up to save our global food supply. Today, we're walking through a fascinating framework that tackles what is, arguably, the single most important challenge of our lifetime: how we're going to adapt our farming systems to a rapidly changing world, and ultimately make sure everyone has enough to eat.
10 billion. Just let that math sink in for a second, because it is terrifying but absolutely crucial. By the year 2050, we have to figure out how to feed roughly 10 billion people on this planet. Think about the sheer scale of that. It's staggering. And it's not just about magically finding more space to plant seeds. Our current farmers are already buckling under intense pressure. Resources, especially water, are becoming incredibly scarce, and the traditional ways we've grown food for centuries, they simply aren't going to scale up to meet the demands of 10 billion hungry mouths.
The immediate reality is that we're fighting a multi-front battle against extreme weather. Droughts are causing immediate, devastating crop loss. Floods are fundamentally wrecking the structural integrity of the soil. And rising heat levels, they're just dragging down overall farm productivity across the board. It's essentially a perfect storm threatening our food system from every possible angle.
And we have to remember, this isn't just about having a few bad weather days. It's a direct, five-step chain reaction leading straight from a warming planet to global hunger. It goes like this. Climate change triggers crop failure, which immediately creates a food shortage. Then, basic economics kicks in, causing massive price increases at the grocery store, and that ultimately results in widespread hunger. If we don't break this exact chain, the outcome is basically inevitable.
So how do we break it? Well, the source material points us to a real hero in this story: climate-smart agriculture, or CSA. Now, this isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's a rigorous framework that demands three things simultaneously. First, we absolutely must increase agricultural productivity to feed those 10 billion people. Second, we have to adapt our methods to survive the climate changes that are already happening. And third, and this is critical, we have to do all of this while actually reducing the global emissions that farming itself creates.
This is where the theory really meets the dirt. Just think about the stark contrast between the two approaches. Traditional farming relies so heavily on massive water consumption and dumping chemical fertilizers, which honestly just leads to unpredictable, unstable yields. But the climate-smart approach, it flips the script entirely. It demands highly efficient water use and perfectly balanced, targeted fertilizers. The end result is a stable, reliable food supply that can actually weather the storm.
Now, let's zoom in a bit to the micro level of the farm, because there's a huge irony we need to address. 70%. A massive 70% of all our global fresh water is currently swallowed up by agriculture alone. I mean, while we're over here worrying about taking shorter showers at home, the vast majority of our most precious resource is being poured directly into the dirt, and often super inefficiently. If we're going to be climate smart, this is literally the very first bottleneck we have to fix. And here's exactly how we fix it: by utilizing modern drip irrigation, smart sensors, and rainwater harvesting to create a continuous closed-loop cycle. We capture the rain, we store it smartly, and then irrigate directly to the roots. After nourishing the crop and managing the soil moisture, we actively reuse whatever is left over. It takes this massive water drain and transforms it into a highly efficient, sustainable loop. It's brilliant.
But it's not just about how we water. It's about what we're actually growing. Scientists are hard at work developing specific seeds perfectly designed to survive these new extremes. We've got hybrid crops giving us the high yields we desperately need, organic crops promoting long-term sustainability, and genetically modified crops engineered specifically to resist harsh climate conditions. They can literally thrive in places where traditional plants would just wither and die.
And to manage these new, super resilient crops, farmers are getting equipped with some mind-blowing modern tech. We're talking about literally swapping out old mechanical tractors for artificial intelligence, drones, and satellites. The modern farmer is basically becoming a data scientist. They're using AI to monitor crop health in real time, deploying agricultural drones to survey vast fields, and pulling down satellite data to figure out exactly what's happening on every square inch of their land. All of this creates an incredibly efficient, instantaneous workflow. Raw data beaming down from the sky translates directly into precise, ground-level actions. You collect the satellite data, have an AI analyze it in real time, make an informed decision, and then take a highly targeted action, like, say, watering only one specific dry patch of a massive field. It takes the guesswork out entirely and directly boosts the harvest.
But look, let's be real for a second. All of that high-tech gear means absolutely nothing if the ground beneath it is dead. The sources are incredibly clear on this. We have to focus heavily on soil health management. It is the hidden engine of global food productivity. Decades of intensive farming have really degraded our soils, and if we don't actively manage it through things like crop rotation, soil testing, and organic farming methods, all the drones and AI in the world won't be able to coax a crop out of dead dirt.
If we actively restore the nutrients lost during a harvest, we secure the long-term health of our entire food system's foundation. Think of it kind of like a bank account. You grow the crop, which naturally pulls nutrients from the soil, causing a deficit. But then, through targeted restoration, like using organic matter or rotating in crops that fix nitrogen back into the earth, we rebuild that soil health, getting it ready for the next season. It's all about giving back to the earth as much as we take.
All right, stepping back to the macro level, prepare to be shocked by this next number. Roughly 30 to 40% of the food we successfully grow, and I'm talking about the food that actually survives the climate, the pests, and the harvest, is completely wasted globally. 30 to 40%. Just let that sink in. We are fighting this massive uphill crisis to produce enough food, and yet we're just throwing away over a third of it.
And the sources show this is a totally systemic issue across the entire supply chain. We don't just have a production problem, we have a massive logistical leak. On the farm, the big risk is climate damage. During transport, food spoils because of poor infrastructure. And then, at the retail level, it's consumer waste. We are bleeding valuable resources at every single stage of the journey.
The good news? We can absolutely plug this leak. By upgrading our infrastructure to include climate-controlled smart storage and drastically improving our supply chain logistics, we can make sure that what gets grown actually gets eaten. We want to move seamlessly from production right into secure storage, through efficient transport, and directly onto your plate. That alone leads to a massive reduction in waste.
So, what is the ultimate goal of all these incredible, wide-sweeping changes? It's pure, reliable global food security. The source material defines this as a state where everyone has physical and economic access to enough safe, nutritious food at all times. Basically, it means no matter what the climate does, you know you'll have safe food on your plate whenever you need it. The framework to achieve that massive goal rests on 4 critical pillars. They act as the foundation for how policymakers and tech innovators are reshaping our world right now. We need availability, literally just growing enough food. We need access, making sure people can afford it and physically get to it. We need utilization, ensuring that the food is actually safe and nutritious. And finally, stability, guaranteeing that those first 3 pillars hold strong all year round, year after year.
Now, interestingly enough, solving the greatest challenge of our time also happens to be an enormous economic driver. Investors are pouring money into these specific sectors right now. Agritech is exploding with AI analysis tools. The irrigation sector is absolutely booming with smart water systems. And the food sector is seeing massive investments in advanced supply chain logistics. Turns out, saving the world's food supply is becoming very, very good business.
Looking ahead to that 2030 to 2050 timeline, the source material projects some truly wild future trends. In many cases, farming is going to move off traditional dirt fields entirely. We're looking at massive vertical farms built right in the middle of dense urban centers. Highly efficient hydroponic systems growing food in nutrient-rich water instead of soil, and AI-driven autonomous farming where robots are managing the entire greenhouse ecosystem. It's sci-fi stuff, but it's happening today.
Ultimately, the big takeaway is that by leveraging data and smart farming, we really can turn the tide on the food crisis. Embracing all this technology drives massive efficiency. That efficiency leads to much higher crop yields, ensures true environmental sustainability, and finally, delivers that big, triumphant goal, global food security.
So, I want to leave you with this to ponder. The solutions to feed 10 billion people are clearly being engineered as we speak. But as our climate changes so rapidly, how quickly can we globally embrace and deploy these incredible innovations to guarantee that no one goes hungry? It is definitely a race against time. But as we've explored today, we absolutely have the tools to win it.